Alright, hello everyone. The Land of Forgotten Queens rant is coming in a little bit because there's a lot that's being ignored here in Queens as usual. And remember how I've said always, folks, it's not just about New York One that's ignoring us, but the other media outlets are just blatantly ignoring us here in Queens. And I think it's just ridiculous. You know, things are just really bad around here. And yeah, it's getting so bad to the point that the airplane noise over Fresh Meadows is getting worse. I have my windows open. I mean, yeah, I'm getting a breeze in this room, but I mean, where's Grace Mink? That's all I'm gonna say, because she should be doing something about that. But let's stick to the topic at hand. Uh, Before we get into what's going on here, we need to talk about the disrespect that I'm getting from the chief of the MTA Transit Police lately, which has now gone back to 2 months. And we're going to talk about this guy right here. This guy. Yes, Michael Kemper. Not to be confused with Matt Kemper. So, anyhow, I, at 9 a.m. yesterday morning, went on Zoom before I went out yesterday. I had the privilege of being able to speak at the MTA New York City Transit Committee meeting talking about the body cam video. Now, I'm not going to show the video because it is graphic and it is inappropriate to show it here on Andy's Randomness, but I will say that I have reviewed the video for myself, given that the media submitted plenty of FOIL requests to get the body cam footage released, given that there were protests about it last week. And let's call it for what it is. The bottom line, and we have to say it for what it is, bottom line is the utmost disrespect that this guy right here, this guy who criticized me in July when I was saying that we don't feel safe riding the subways, which is true, I still don't feel safe. I haven't been on it for a long time, in almost 2 months. And it's particularly my fault in a sense because I was out of state for a few weeks. Maybe it was good that I did, but I mean, this guy and the rest of the MTA just doesn't get it. And they never will. And the fact that we got brushed off, not anything was talked about at the New York City Transit Committee meeting. It should have been discussed. Instead, all they were talking about was the capital program. So, yeah. I mean, it's just blatant disrespect what we're getting here. Blatant disrespect. What's been going on around here lately. I'm just not even going to talk about it anymore. I hope this gets brought up at the board meeting, but I doubt it will. So we need to talk about Queens. Yes, so what's on Spectrum News page today? And let's just quickly criticize them, because a lot needs to be said about New York One. So let me pause the video for a second. So here's the homepage of Channel 1, and, you know, it's so obvious who they gear to, and if you've been watching in the past week, or maybe because you just don't bother watching, and I have to do it for you, Pat Kiernan's been missing this week. Where is he? You know, did he get fired, or did he take a long-term vacation? I mean, I hope Pat's okay, because no one's seen him in a couple of weeks. There's Pat Kiernan on the New York One website. My bad, excuse me, Channel 1 website. But the thing is, he last posted on Twitter back on... Yeah, I'm still going to call it Twitter, because calling it X is just too much of a headache. Ugh. Yeah, see, this is the last thing that he reposted from Andrew Fine, who does the cultural stuff. So yeah, this is Andrew Fine, who you see on the mornings. You see on the mornings. Yeah. But Andrew, I think it's Andrew Fine. He's been on this channel before. Right, okay. Andrew Fine sometimes contributes. He was talking about Roger Clark. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah, Roger's bubbly in the morning. He does interesting things, but before we get off topic, let's just focus on the task. I keep saying we're going to talk about some stuff. Look what's in the Queens section. And believe me, we're going to talk about Eric Adams at the end of this video, because then I'll get completely distracted on what the task at hand is. So, yeah, that's what Piney does at the end of his videos. He waits to criticize his Nassau County executive at the end. But look at this. I mean, nothing about anything relating to Queens. Not one thing. Not one. I bet if I check the other city websites, they're going to throw us off as usual. So, let's go over here, because this is a domestic dispute, and there's actually 2 domestic disputes here in Queens that we need to talk about. So, the second story I have very limited details. It just broke about, I would say, under an hour ago, so you're going to have to bear with me, because it came over the police scanner, but this is what we know in terms of the first story that we have that was posted by the Queens Courier. So we had a domestic dispute in College Point. Woman was charged with stabbing husband to death during a dispute. So where did this happen? This happened at the 2300 block of 120th Street in College Point at around 11:45 p.m. back on Friday night. So interesting. So because everybody was distracted about that police-involved chase that began in Jamaica and went into Massapequa and Nassau County over the weekend. So this is what we know regarding what happened on Friday night. 74-year-old Lai Chun Ho, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, was charged with allegedly killing 76-year-old her husband, Kun Tine Ho, inside the home on the 2300 block of 120th Street in College Point at about 11:45 p.m. on September 20th. Officers from the 109 precinct responded to the Ho residence after receiving a 911 call about a person stabbed. Upon arrival, they found Kun Tan Ho stabbed multiple times around the head, back, and torso. Sadly, Mr. Ho was taken to Booth Memorial Medical Center in Flushing, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. Sources said Saturday that Lane Chun and Kun Tan Ho had gotten into an argument for reasons that remain unknown at this time, and ended with Lane Chun allegedly going on the deadly attack. Police took her into custody at the scene and charged her with murder and criminal possession of a weapon. So there you go. I mean, this got rushed off because there was more important news that needed to be covered over the weekend. I mean, this is what our media does, folks. This is what our media does. Burying stories. This should have been covered. I mean, this was a homicide, for crying out loud. Homicide with the letter H. H. Let's move on to our next story, and this is breaking. This just literally happened an hour ago. So here are the details we have via the 107 Precinct Police Scanner. After 8 p.m. tonight, we had a domestic dispute that took place at 85-10 165th Street. According to the 911 caller, a female was getting assaulted by her husband in a domestic dispute over rent at this particular location. Let's show you the address in question, which is right across the street from Cat and Tilly Park. And that's the only reason why I'm talking about this, because if it involves the parks, you know I'm going to talk about it. So, what we know right now is the husband's currently being booked at the 107 tonight, and that's all we have right now. Very limited details. But again, this is coming in over the police scanner. The only reason why I thought I should turn it on was because there were 2 sirens that were going right by my house earlier tonight, and I thought it could have been a 1039 call, but yep. That's all we have, folks. I'm sorry if I have very limited details, but this will probably get brushed off too. And look where this exactly is. Yep. Right by the 169th Street station. And Cotton Tilly Park is not that bad. I mean, you have a lake over here, so the exchange, I may have to go over here because I've never really been here before, but thankfully the good news is it's not too far from the Q3031, so it's definitely accessible to my area. So, see what we got next story here. Next this one off. We're going to talk about another stabbing that was fatal. A Flushing man was indicted. Basically, this man is accused of stabbing his wife inside a spa where she worked, according to Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz. And this story was actually posted today. Look at that. So a grand jury today in Kew Gardens indicted a Flushing man on murder and weapons charges for allegedly, quote, stabbing his wife to death in front of horrified customers inside her place of employment at Casino Boulevard Spa the day after Labor Day. This occurred on the evening of Tuesday, September 3rd. Mr. Chahari Ma, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, age 25 of Cherry Avenue of Flushing, was arraigned yesterday in Kew Gardens before Queens Supreme Court Justice Kenneth Holder, who you'll know very well on this YouTube channel by now, who remanded him into custody without bail. According to the indictment and charges, Mr. Ma entered Bodywork Spa at 41-39 Casino Boulevard. Yeah, this is probably by Roosevelt Avenue. It occurred at 5:40 p.m. the day after Labor Day and went into the basement, where he approached his 26-year-old wife, Go Ming-tong, and a verbal dispute ensued. The argument between the young immigrants from China quickly escalated into violence, where Mr. Ma pulled out a knife and stabbed Tang multiple times in her neck, chest, and arm. Police from the 109 precinct in Flushing responded to a 911 call that a woman was under attack inside the cellar spa, and they arrived to find Tang clinging to life with her husband standing nearby, still holding a bloody knife, which was recovered by the police. Mr. Ma was taken into custody nearby at the precinct, and EMS arrived at the location and rushed Tang to Booth Memorial Medical Center, where she was pronounced dead a short time later. In a statement released today by Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz, quoted today saying, as alleged, the defendant carried out a brutal and fatal attack against his wife inside her place of business. Partners should have never had to fear for their safety at the hands of those they love. Ma was charged with murder in the second degree and criminal possession of a weapon in the fourth degree. If convicted, he will face a maximum sentence of 25 years to life in prison. Justice Holder ordered Mr. Ma to return to court in Kew Gardens on November 13th on Queens Boulevard. Also in the same press release today that was also sent to the Queens Courier, District Attorney Katz said, I urge anyone experiencing domestic violence to contact our 24-hour hotline. Yeah, so we're not even going to read the rest. You get the idea. Another story, yet again, brushed off by the media. 2 domestics and now a third one.
Is open.
So thank goodness OBS has the pause button, because with me yelling at the top of my lungs, my dad just heard me, and let's just continue going on with the news that's being ignored here in Queens. We had a robbery on September 11th. Hooded suspects sought for a robbing teen at a Ridgewood subway station. So where did this happen? Well, this occurred on September 11th on board an M train approaching the Forest Avenue station. The 17-year-old victim was on a southbound M train at around 7 p.m. when a hooded stranger approached him and pretended to be carrying a firearm. The perpetrator demanded cash and then forcibly removed the youngster's cell phone before running off the train at the Forest Avenue station. The suspect raced down the street level on Fairview Avenue and was last seen running northbound on Forest Avenue towards Woodbine Street. Crime Stoppers released surveillance video of the suspect on board the M train appearing agitated as he cased the car for a victim. Suspect description: he was last seen wearing a black hood and is described as wearing a dark complexion in his early 20s, approximately 5 foot 8 feet inches tall, white t-shirt, green and white shorts, and black Crocs. So I'm not going to go into crime stats, but maybe I'm starting to understand why Bruce Blakeman put that mask ban in Nassau County. Because so far the people that have been arrested are actual legit criminals who are trying to hide their faces on purpose. So far, from what I heard from Mazi Billup's office, at least 4 people have been arrested in Nassau County for violating the mask ban that she proposed. So maybe Mazi was onto something that maybe I wasn't originally for, but I mean, I've worn a mask in Nassau County and I haven't been stopped by anyone, so I mean, the only reason why I'm wearing it's because my parents make me wear it, but it is what it is, guys. Now we're going to get into an update on this. So, this got widespread attention. 2 teens surrender after stealing a subway car at the Briarwood Vanwyck Boulevard station. So, this got wide media attention. And by the way, the 107 precinct is not in Fresh Meadows, it's in Flushing. So that's a typo. So it says here that 2 teenagers turned themselves in the 107 precinct when they were booked for stealing an unoccupied MTA subway car at the Briarwood Vanwyck Boulevard station, taking it for a joyride just after midnight on Thursday, September 12th. Yeah, I want to look at the calendar here. It says the 17-year-old girl in the surveillance video surrendered herself just after noon back on Wednesday, September 18th. And her accomplice, a 17-year-old boy, turned himself in on September 19th. So we got the days corrected here. Wanted to make sure, get the facts right. The 107 precinct charged them with 2 counts of criminal mischief in the first degree and reckless endangerment in the first degree. The 2 teens are accused of breaking into the vacant out-of-service subway car and operating it for about 50 feet before they struck another unoccupied subway. No injuries were reported. However, the train sustained about $1,500 worth of damage to the subway cars due to the collision, according to the criminal complaint. 2 teens fled the scene before officers from the 107 precinct and Transit District 20 arrived after responding to a 911 call about the incident. So, according to what the teenager said in... This was a quote. He told a detective at the 107 precinct, "That's me in the flyer." I mean, this is my precinct that serves Fresh Meadows. I'm just at a loss of words. Because they do serve the Briarwood section. I think that's Sector David, if I'm correct. Yeah, I don't want to read what the transit president's saying. No, I don't want to read it. Alright, so it says the teens were arraigned separately in Queens Criminal Court back on Thursday, September 19th in Kew Gardens on Queens Boulevard as adolescent offenders. They were ordered to return to court on September 25th, and there's a chance that you know who might be presiding over that tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Look at that. And I'm sure that might get media coverage. Maybe not. Okay. Let's get into something else that got ignored by the media. So I at least have 4 more stories we need to cover here. Woodhaven motorcyclist died earlier this month after falling from the Crossmain Bridge in Rockaway Beach. So this got ignored. So wait a minute. I'm so confused here. Alright, this is a misleading headline. It should have said, died last month. Whoever wrote this, shame. Yeah, Bill Parry, shame on you. That's all I'm going to say. So it says that this incident occurred on August 28th, which was a Wednesday. Interesting, because this occurred exactly 2 days before the fatal motorcycle accident on 184th Street and 73rd Avenue, which, thankfully, that got media coverage. It was a 30-second mention. We obviously knew the driver had right of way in that incident, but before we go completely off topic, Adolfo Galeago, 35 of 78th Street near Jamaica Avenue, succumbed to his injuries at Jamaica Hospital, where he was clinging to life after he was ejected from his bike on the night of Wednesday, August 28th, and fell helmetless onto Beach Channel Drive. So, according to the Highway District Collision Investigation Squad, determined that Mr. Gallego was riding a 2019 Kawasaki Falcon motorcycle northbound Beach 94 entrance ramp at the Crossway Bridge when he failed to navigate a curve, lost control of the bike, and crashed into a concrete barrier. He was ejected and fell about 15 feet onto the center median of the lower roadway below. Police from the 100th Precinct in Rockaway Beach found Gallego lying on a patch of dirt between a guardrail and a concrete jersey barrier. EMS rushed him to NYC Health Jamaica Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on September 8th. After Gallego crashed his bike, New York City Council member and president of the Queens GOP, Joanna Arrolia, cautioned the public on the need to be mindful on the road and always take proper precautions by wearing a helmet while riding a motorcycle. The councilwoman, quoted to the Queens Courier, said, "My deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Mr. Gallego. He fought long and hard, and may he now be at peace." Police from the 100th Precinct in Rockaway Beach and the Highway District Collision Investigation Squad continue to investigate the fatal collision. So there's 3 more stories in Queens we need to get into, and then we need to talk about a hit and run that occurred in the Bronx. Yes, I didn't forget about you, the Bronx, because we actually had a very fatal hit and run that happened yesterday, which got covered by the other channels, but why not New York 1? Let's investigate their Bronx page. So let's talk about this. Predator Watch. Chihuahua carrying gropers sought for targeting young girls on board the Q58 bus. When did this happen? So this occurred... last Wednesday the 18th. Okay. First incident occurred within the 110th Precinct at the Q58 bus. He was in front of 86-15 Broadway in Elmhurst at 7:37 in the morning. The stranger carrying the Chihuahua came up to an 11-year-old girl and touched her breast. Police said, adding that the youngster was not injured during the incident. The suspect remained on board the bus as it crossed Queens Boulevard in the confines of the 104 Precinct. The suspect, yet again, did it 8 minutes later. He approached another 11-year-old girl at the Q58 bus, 71-15 Grand Avenue in Maspeth. This time, the stranger reached down and touched her hip in private areas. The man then exited the bus at 72nd Street and Grand Avenue, traveling northbound on foot towards Calamus Avenue. So let's give you a suspect description. Remember, all suspects are proven innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The NYPD released surveillance images of the suspect last Thursday, September 19th. Here's a suspect description from the Crime Stoppers unit. He is approximately 30 to 45 years old and was carrying a Chihuahua bag and a black top bag. He has a Latino skin tone, black baseball cap, yellow jacket, black sweatpants, and brown shoes. Anyone with information can call the Crime Stoppers unit. If caught, the suspect will face arraignment in Queens Criminal Court in Kew Gardens. And then let's read this one. Shooting in Jamaica. Shooter remains at large. So when did this happen? This occurred Merrick Boulevard watering hole. So this happened outside of Wave Juice Bar and Lounge at 125-22 Merrick Avenue at 6:16 a.m. So this happened early Sunday morning. This happened back on the 22nd, right? Because I have to start Xing off my calendar. So we'll do this on the fly. Tomorrow's the 25th. There we go. The gunman fled the scene in a dark-colored sedan towards Farmers Boulevard. Victim was taken to NYC Health Jamaica Hospital. Victim was pronounced dead. Victim was identified by the police back on September 22nd as Kareem Wilson of 31st Avenue in East Elmhurst. Just wanted to make sure that, I had the right information. Handgun was recovered on the blood-spotted sidewalk. It was not determined if the murder weapon or if it was belonging to the victim. So we don't even know if there was an altercation inside. No arrest, ongoing investigation. And then lastly, so our last story in Queens we got to get into. Suspect wanted for spitting and groping a schoolgirl near a school in Maspeth. This occurred September 20th, last Friday, 71st Street and 54th Avenue near PSI 73 in Maspeth at 8:10 a.m. She was approached by this suspect right here. The man, without saying a word, spat on the young girl's hand and grabbed her buttocks before fleeing. Officers from the 104th Precinct responded to the incident, and EMS rushed the child to NYC Health Elmhurst Hospital for evaluation. She was not seriously harmed and was later released. Alright, so this is what we know right now. Police described the perpetrator as being approximately 25 years old. He has a black skin tone, medium build, and standing 5 feet 8 inches tall. Last seen wearing a blue shirt, blue pants, blue do-rag, black shoes, and white headphones. So there you go. I mean, this is the news that it's been getting ignored in Queens. And I want to talk about what occurred in the Bronx yesterday. So can we find anything on the New York One website about the hit and run in the Bronx? Because I did want to touch up on that, because that's a very serious story. Yeah, Eric, again, we're going to get to you, Eric Adams. We're going to get to you, Eric Adams. Believe me, we will. Yep, nothing about it. Nothing about it. So Channel 1 ignored this, okay? I mean, this is the victim's daughter. She was visibly upset. And this is the pickup truck that ran over the man that they were talking about. So, this is what we know. Happened yesterday afternoon in the Wakefield section of the Bronx. Bronxwood Avenue and East 229th Street just after 12:30. This occurred when a man, 64 years old, was walking in the crosswalk eastbound when he was hit by the black Chevy Silverado truck with a tow hitch that was traveling north on Bronxwood Avenue. So, very, very disturbing. This is the victim that was run over. Very unfortunate. S.M. Akushman, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, was taken to NYC Health Jacoby Hospital. 1 hour later, he was pronounced dead. He lived only a block away with his wife and one of his daughters. I mean, how could you not stay at the scene of an accident? It's just... And then we have other stuff going on in the Bronx, which is getting ignored. There was a subway stabbing that left the man seriously wounded. Where did this happen? Yes, this happened this morning, believe it or not. Look at that, ignored by the media. So this is what we know. Law enforcement sources said the attack occurred in the Mount Haven section of the Bronx, 2:57 a.m., 138th Street Grand Concourse Station on the 4-5 line. Officers from the 4-0 Precinct in Android PD Transit District 11. There was a response of an assault. Found a victim, a 45-year-old man wounded on the northbound side of the station. The victim suffered a stab wound to the chest. Police said it was unclear whether he had been attacked on the platform or inside a arriving train car. As of tonight, all the Bronx Times is reporting the man was taken to Lincoln Hospital where he's listed in stable condition. So, see what else we got here in the Bronx. Because we have two more we gotta read. So, when did the shooting happen outside of a restaurant? Saturday, 3:25 a.m. in the Soundview section. This occurred at 1186 Evergreen Avenue in La Calvain Restaurant. Officers from the 4th Street Precinct responded to a 911 call about an assault in progress, found the mortally wounded man with a gunshot wound to his abdomen. EMS rushed them to Jacoby Hospital, pronounced dead. So, yep, another story getting ignored, and then one more. Transit employee assaulted on an MTA bus in the Bronx. When did this happen? So, what bus route did this occur on? They're not saying which one this is, so let's just read the vague details we have. This occurred last Tuesday, September 17th, 11:20 a.m. near East 226th Street and White Plains Road within the 4-7 precinct. According to reports, a 34-year-old female MTA bus driver was parked at the location. Okay, so the bus was out of service. The suspect boarded the bus, grabbed the driver, and repeatedly slammed her head against the bus partition. After the assault, the individual fled on foot, heading westbound on East 226th Street. The bus driver sustained minor injuries in the attack and was transported to Jacoby Hospital, treated in stable condition. The suspect is described as a male wearing a face mask. Yep, wearing a face mask. Standing approximately 6 feet tall. So, there you go. I mean, maybe it's time that New York City consider banning face masks. I mean, just consider the idea, because these suspects are getting away, and by covering up, they're technically violating New York's one-party consent rules. So, there you go. Okay, so to wrap up this video, let's talk about the swagger man, Eric Adams. Oh boy, what trouble was he in? Well, he's being investigated for ties with campaign funds for his 2021 campaign. 6 foreign governments are tied to him. Right? Here's another picture of the swagger man. I mean, look how he smiles in this picture. Smiling, and the rest of us have to suffer in Queens. You know, smiling at us. And just today, guess what happened to Schools Chancellor David Banks? He submitted his letter of resignation. Yep. So now we need a new schools chancellor next year. And not only that, if Eric Adams is still the mayor next year, New York City is facing yet again another episode of possibly filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy because of the migrant crisis. Because we're a densely populated city that cannot handle housing these people anymore. And our money is being spent to get them out of New York City. I mean, I'm going to sound controversial for saying this, but I should be bought in to at least get them out of the 5 boroughs. Just get them out of the 5 boroughs. I don't care where they go. We don't have room for them. Saying that for a while. You know, the Roosevelt Hotel should go back to its main purpose and being back to being a hotel near Grand Central. So this is where the corruption goes into. Let's talk about Eddie Caban, the former police commissioner who resigned last week. Why did he resign last week? Federal corruption. Yep. So let's read this. Into James Caban, his brother. Involvement in the nightclub industry and trying to intimidate nightclub managers to get him a position. So, there you go. And then let's talk about the new guy, Tom Dalton. Tom Dolan. Okay, I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. I thought it was Dalton. like Dalton Funeral Homes, but why is he under investigation? Oh, because he took classified documents that were from 2004 from his original work in the FBI. So, yep. Eric Adams looking down on us as usual. And so again, the land of the forgotten borough queens is going to be forgotten yet again. We do not matter to Eric Adams. We do not matter to the media. And this is the odds that are against us. So I'm done for now. Will I be back with another rant? If it's warranted, then yes. Because I am disgusted what's going on here. And nobody else wants to talk about it. And they're telling me to go shut up and live in Florida. You don't belong here anymore, Andy. You know, you're too radical for us in New York City. You don't belong here anymore. You're too conservative for us. Well, I'm not going down without a fight. So that's it.